Hey everyone, welcome back. In today's video, I wanted to share with you the 5 strategies that I use to remember more of what I read. Let's get started. Okay, first things first. The first strategy that I use is what's called active reading. And what is active reading? Active reading is when you participate with the book. The book is not some precious thing on the shelf. The book is a tool that you use to learn. And there's a reason why all of my books look like this. They're all torn up, there's comments and notes everywhere, because I've actively engaged with it. I've highlighted, I've seen things that interest me. I've referenced little notes on the side. It's not something, a book is not precious. Maybe the ideas inside the book might be precious, but the book itself should be treated like a working document that you can then layer on your ideas on, which will greatly increase the amount of stuff that you're retaining. So in an ideal world, a great book that changes your life is actually a conversation between you and the author. And when you're actively engaging with a book like this, the conversation is two-way. It's like, okay, great, you've just highlighted something really amazing, but I need to go back, I need to highlight that now and actually go back to that later. And so get in the habit of having a highlighter, and maybe you don't have to, but little tabs as well in your hand when you're reading. The amount that you will retain, your comprehension levels will drastically increase. So that's the first strategy that I use. Okay, so the second strategy that I implement is I have a very strong preference for reading versus audiobooks when I'm looking to retain information. So a lot of people have read the Atomic Habits. I've got the audio version and the book as well, right? The challenge with when you're doing audio, the audio version, is that you often are multitasking. And multitasking, if you've read any productivity book, the synopsis is write things down and don't multitask. That's the summary of like 2,000 productivity books. And so when you're reading via audiobook, you are still getting the information, but you're often multitasking. You'll be on the train, you could be doing the dishes or whatever you're doing. And it doesn't give that singular focus that reading does. Like if I'm reading this book, I can only read this book. I can't read this book and, I don't know, play video games or whatever I'm doing. So it's the singular action of reading that enhances comprehension. The other layer to this is that often, not always, but often people who listen to audiobooks are listening to it on 2x speed, which I understand you're trying to be productive, but we're not reading for productivity. We're reading for leisure, and we're reading to grow. And so that's the second recommendation. I actually do think there is a place for audiobooks, and I actually think audiobooks are better in some circumstances for certain things, but for the lens of this video, it's just about comprehension. So how can I retain more of the things that I'm listening to or reading? Another challenge with audiobooks is that it's very hard to highlight things. Let's say halfway through the chapter, there's a really amazing quote. You have to pause it, you have to try and write it down. There are third-party tools that can highlight within an audiobook, but it's a bit clunky. So second recommendation, if you're looking for comprehension, have a preference for physical reading over audiobooks. Okay, so my third tip for remembering more of what you read is what's called reading around the book. And what does reading around the book mean? So, example, Ryan Holiday's book, Discipline is Destiny, right? As you can see here, there's lots of different markups, and there's about 20 or 30, not 20 or 30, at least 10 other recommendations of books that you should read off the base of this book. So if it's a non-fiction book and you're reading it and the author is referencing a book in the book, highlight that book and add it to your reading list later. Yes, this does mean that you're reading more, but your depth of understanding in a topic is now compounding. So I have a firm belief that the quickest way to learn to know more than 95% of people on a given subject is to read the top or the 3 most significant books in that genre, right, or in that subject matter. So let's say you wanted to learn more about, I don't know, Stoic philosophy Stoic philosophy, for example. So you read as much as you can from the 3 or 4 key Stoics throughout history, and your comprehension will be, or your understanding of it will be better than 95% of people. So make a habit of recording the books that authors are mentioning, add it to your reading list. Your reading list is going to grow substantially, but that's exciting because you're going to continue to get references from authors that you really appreciate. So summary is read around the book, take recommendations from great authors, your attention will increase. Okay, so the fourth recommendation on how to remember more of what you read is to create a summary based on your notes. So if you're a Kindle reader, shout out to all the Kindle readers out there, Amazon does this for you automatically. So when you're highlighting inside your Kindle, it actually creates a summary document in a thing called Amazon Notepad, which basically will take all of your highlights and create like a little summary document for you, which then you could hypothetically put into like a ChatGPT or put into a Word document or whatever that could create a really rich summary for you. Before this was actually available, I actually read a book years ago. There was one point in my life where I was playing a lot of poker, and I actually read a book called Winning Low Limit Hold'em by Lee Jones. And I actually read this book, created lots of highlights from the book, and then actually wrote out a summary of the book. This is before Kindle time. And my comprehension of key poker topics and theory just like went through the roof. So it is a little bit of like, work, to do this. But if your goal is to read with intention and you're trying to study something and master something, at the moment I'm trying to master chess and it's not going so well, but if you take the highlights, create a summary, it'll feel like now you have this small little book that's your own. Yeah. So anyway, that's the fourth key takeaway. Create a summary from your notes. Okay, so my last recommendation on how to remember more of what you read is going to be the least popular one, but I'll tell you it anyway, is to read the book more than once. So many of the great books that are in my life that have had an impact on my life have been books that I've read multiple times, and I'm always getting new ideas and insights from them. So whether it be meditations, whether it be Man's Search for Meaning, whether it be the China study, it could be a lot of the like Atomic Habits I've read multiple times. If the book is truly great and there's something really powerful that there's information inside it, it's worth a second or potentially even third read. The book that I've probably read the most is a book, I'm probably going to do a video on it. It's called The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham. I've read that book probably, I don't even know how many times I've read this book. I constantly just go over it all the time. It's a book about decision-making frameworks and how you make decisions, and he pioneers this idea called a dumb tax. Anyway, that's probably a separate video all to itself, but the more that I read the book, it doesn't feel like I'm reading it a second time. Because I'm at a different place in my life, the book feels fresh and it feels vibrant, it feels new. It reminds me of that quote by Marcus Aurelius that no man steps into the same river twice. The river is different and the man is different. And so, so that's the last recommendation. Read the book. If you're really passionate about a certain topic, read the book more than once. You will not regret it. Okay, so that's my recommendations on how to drastically increase your retention rates of what you read and remember more of what you read. I hope this video was valuable. Keep reading, be kind, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.